Hey everyone, this is August Sandberg of 59 North presenting the Quarterdeck Sailing Podcast. This is where we allow ourselves to dive deep into the esoteric details of sailing and seamanship and discuss things in the sailing world that interests or concerns us. We have set up a watch rotation for this podcast and our other podcast on the wind so that whenever one is on a break, the other one keeps the ship sailing. So we'll be publishing a podcast every Tuesday all the time, so make sure to subscribe to both of them. The Quarterdeck is our membership website and 59 North's home port on the internet. We post videos and articles and host live streams and all sorts of fun on there, and we have a very knowledgeable community that you can be a part of. It is also the easiest way to interact with me and Andy directly. Go to 59-north.com/quarterdeck and sign up today for a 2-week free trial. Becoming a Quarterdeck member is also a great way to support what we do so that we can continue to make free sailing content such as this very podcast. So a huge thanks to everyone who signs up. In this episode, Andy and I discuss chart plotters or multifunction displays and where to mount them. A few technical questions came up during our chat that we got to researching after our recording, and I'll provide that info here at the top. First, you can remote control your Garmin MFD through a mobile device if you download the Active Captain app and use the Helm feature. It looks a little bit clunky though, so maybe not something that you want to kind of have set up permanently, but it is definitely doable. The Garmin MFD does indeed have HDMI in, so you can show any video signal from any video source on there, including from a laptop or a computer. And you can get a remote control for the MFD called a Garmin Grid. It has all the buttons and a little joystick on there, and it looks really neat. This sounded a little bit like a Garmin ad, but we are not associated in any way, and we're paid full price for all of this stuff. We do love their gear though, so if you happen to represent Garmin, shoot me an email at august@59-north.com, and I'd love to work with you. All right, please enjoy this week's episode and hold fast. Very good morning to you, Andy. How are you? How are you feeling today?
I'm good. We got crew arriving on Falcon this evening, so the rest of the gang is doing last minute boat prep, and I'm hiding in the office in the aft cabin recording a podcast with you. Delighted to be here.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, no, it's exciting to be back on the Quarterdeck Podcast train with you. So I'm very excited about this.
It's been a while. I was very jealous listening to you and Nikki do those series you did over the summer when I listened to most of them on my way to Greenland, and I was like, God dang it, I really want to contribute to this. Can we just cut in? So I'm happy to be back.
Very cool. Yeah, we did talk about you quite a bit, and imagined you would be quite eager to join some of those debates, especially that we had. So
let's do it. Where can I share my opinion? What do you want to know?
Well, I would like to get your opinion today, Andy. As a matter of fact, I do have a real first world problem here that I would love to get your take on. See, I got this brand new, huge chart plotter, and I can't figure out where to put the thing. And I know you're very passionate about chart plotters, Andy, so I thought you would be the right person to talk to.
I have a lot of opinions on chart plotters. I do indeed. And I haven't, like, the thing is, there is no good answer. That's we could go into chart plotters in general. You know, I'm a big fan of using iPads, but like the iPads aren't the full solution. I have yet to find a chart plotter that I like that is the full solution. Having a computer, like a ship's computer, is probably the best, but then it's not like, can't take it outside. There isn't a good answer. So I think, well, I guess, why don't you describe what you've decided to do on Eastbjorn, which is slightly different than what we're doing on Falcon, and may actually change the way we do things on Falcon, depending on how this goes. So what is your solution to this? There is no good solution.
Yeah, well, it's it's not quite decided yet, but we have how it's been working up until now is identical to how it's been working on Falcon. That we have no chart plotter, no MFD with their I guess they're called, and we've been using iPads for navigation. A big one, kind of semi-permanently at the nav station, and then a smaller one that we can kind of bring around. And now the idea is we're going to bring in this chart plotter into the mix here. And the way I imagine that we will be using this is more not so much for charts, but more just for displaying boat data. And I imagine we'll still use the large iPad, will still be handling the navigation at the nav station. And we're getting all new instruments as well for Espion. We're doing the full Garmin package, and we're going to, as I imagine it, use the chart plotter more for displaying graphs, numbers, data that can be gathered from all over the boat. And so that changes the use a little bit, but it's, I think this placement thing is going to be so important, like where we put this, because it's like where we put the chart plotter depends on how we want to use it, but how it will end up being used is also very affected by where it's mounted. So it's we got a bit of a chicken and egg thing going on there. And to complicate matters even more, or I guess making it even more flexible and dynamic, is that it's quite easy to mirror the chart plotter display onto the iPads. So it's we can basically bring up a copy of the chart plotter screen anywhere on the iPads, which kind of, yeah, it feels like when I've been mounting chart plotters in the past, it's been very kind of easy. It's at the helm, it's over underneath the Dodger by the companionway, or it's at the nav station. But now with all of these other options and the higher capabilities of the chart plotters, it's like it can kind of go anywhere. Which
yeah, this is great. I love this. So I want to provide a little bit of background on the instruments and stuff, because I spent a lot of time researching this for Falcon. And what we've tried to do now is get both boats sort of on the same path so that we have the same systems on each boat, so that as our staff and customers go back and forth, everything's familiar. And I made a mistake on Falcon when we installed I needed like large format instruments. You know, your standard boat data instruments are the 4.5-inch square size ones that work fine on most boats, but on Falcon, it's so far from the companionway where you mount them to the helms that you couldn't see them. They're too small. And then you go to the larger size, which get very expensive and do more than we needed them to do. And I talked a lot about this on previous episodes and on the website about doing this salon display type thing. That turned into a disaster because they were just really bad displays, and I won't go into that. But somehow I missed the fact that Garmin makes I think it's a 7-inch. Is that right? 7-inch
yeah,
rectangular display that all I wanted was something that would show numbers very clearly. And I was doing this research, and actually to shout out John Harries on here, who when I need to find something, I often will find it on his website. That's morganscloud.com, Attainable Adventure Cruising. He had talked years ago about these instruments called Nexus instruments that were very simple, large LCDs. They also make 4.5-inch, they make 7-inch, inexpensive, simple LCD displays. And I was like, that's awesome. That's what I want. It's sort of professional look. They're red at night, white in the daytime, very clear, easy to read. So I was like, okay, where are these Nexus displays? Where do they come from? Well, it turns out Garmin bought Nexus in the last couple of years, and now they are effectively those same Nexus displays, just branded as Garmin. And I don't know how I missed this in the research for Falcon when we first did the refit, but in Annapolis this summer, we switched from the Salmon displays over to the Garmin displays, and they were cheap enough that I had 2 Salmon displays, but was able to put 3 Garmin displays in, and they're awesome. They are fantastic. They just show numbers. No fancy graphics, nothing, but it shows any number you want off of the N2K data network, and they're great. And you decided, I think, to do the same thing, but you've got a mix of the 4.5-inch and the 7-inch, because you've got a little bit of room to play with, and you don't need as many large instruments, but it's still nice to have. What are you doing? One large or two large on Eastbjorn?
We're doing two small and two large. So
Cool.
it's just more for the symmetry and whatnot.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, they were very affordable compared to the competitors there, and they seem to be the best. So yeah, that's
And they're
going to
not
be really
like
fun.
some of the larger ones like B&G and Salmon, they're more geared towards performance and racing, and they require like a data computer in the background to analyze everything. And it's just stuff that's not really necessary for the type of cruising that we're doing. So anyway, that's the background on the instruments. And then we got to thinking, okay, well, what chart plotter do we want? And I actually was so frustrated with the shortcomings of the iPads, which because there isn't a single iPad charting app that covers the whole world, basically, the way I want it to display. So you have to bounce around between a couple different software apps, which is nice. You can do that on the iPad. So I went to West Marine in Annapolis, and I was like, you know what? Maybe we should just bite the bullet and buy a chart plotter. And I was so discouraged by the demo displays in there. I was like, no. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. So we did nothing. But then I think you did the research and came back around to, okay, maybe we stick in the Garmin ecosystem since we're doing the Garmin displays. And why did you decide on a Garmin? We'll say chart plotter, but what it really is a multifunction display that shows, like you say, all the data plus charts, plus if you have the digital radar. But now we boats use the Furuno totally separate radar system, which we've covered, ad nauseum why we did that way. So why did you choose the Garmin MFD?
I chose the Garmin one, I guess primarily because I have a lot of experience with the Garmin plotters. Like every boat I've had, I've done tons of research, and I've always ended up with the Garmin, and I've put a Garmin in there. I guess I've done that. This is the third time now. I think I'm putting a Garmin chart plotter in one of my boats, and I like them. I like them a lot. I love the way that you kind of control things, quite intuitive. It's affordable, and yeah, it's all really good. But it was an interesting kind of way of how we ending up with the decision that we're going to go for a chart plotter, because initially I was kind of on with you on that. The iPads work really well for what we do. It's fine. We only need to upgrade the instruments, but there is a couple of things that this iPad now was going to allow us to do that we wouldn't be able to do with the iPads, and that is like you'll be able to get absolutely.
You mean the MFD? You said iPad twice. You mean what the Garmin MFD will do that the iPad can't do? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And the thing that I'm most excited about is to get just like a hub where absolutely all the data is gathered from all the instruments. Everything is going into this box, and that means that you can get so much fun things you can do with all this data now. You can have you can make your own polars for the boat, which is super exciting, or that could just be done automatically. You can get like graph displays of say wind strength, which you can have available to everybody at any time. Also, we're getting a forward scanning sonar for Isbjorn. It's just
that is so cool for all your Arctic adventures.
Hell yes.
I'll tell you, I could have used that in Greenland this year on Falcon.
Yeah. It's again not as expensive as I thought it would be. So
I want to sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
I want to say something about N2K data then when you're done.
Cool. Yeah, no, that was it. That was just things that we needed the MFD to do. So yeah.
Well, on that note, what I've discovered, and I wrote about this extensively, and we can repost this article on the Quarterdeck, but basically not all N2K data is the same. And what I mean by that, and I have this problem on Falcon, and I can already see where this is going. You're going to do this Garmin chart plotter. I'm going to think it's very cool, and then we're going to get one on Falcon. And then we're going to have the same discussion. Where do we put it on Falcon? But anyway, you can't, like some of the old, so to back up, some data can be translated wirelessly to the iPads, but not all the data. So for example, we have a NMEA 2000 tank senders on all the tanks on Falcon, and there's 11 tanks on the boat, eight fuel tanks, 3 water tanks. Well, that the data that is broadcast on the N2K network is like N2K only, whereas when you transmit data wirelessly, it is converted back to the old 0183 software or whatever code. So you can't send tank data to most iPad apps. Now, there's a couple Wi-Fi gateways that will take the raw N2K data and send that out, but there's very few apps that can read the raw N2K data wirelessly. So on Falcon, we have a mini iPad that is only showing the raw N2K data, and there's a great little free app called I forget what it's called, N2K whatever something, but you can see all the raw data, but it's really not intuitive to display. And like I have an issue now where like I can't get the tank data, like the fuel levels and stuff anywhere. And there's a lag in that it's broadcast on Wi-Fi. There's a lag. So when you go to fill the fuel tanks up, it doesn't happen in real time. So you end up spilling fuel all over the place because you can't. It's extremely frustrating. So effectively, what having this MFD hopefully is going to solve is you have all the data can go into this one hub, and that's what we're missing on Falcon. I don't have one thing unless I plug my laptop into the system. I have no one thing that can show every single piece of data. I have some data on the instruments, I have some data on the iPads, and I have some data on the mini, whatever. So that's a big advantage, having all the data in one place. And we haven't even talked about the charting software yet. We're only talking about a hub for your instrument data.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, totally.
Big advantage right there.
Huge advantage. And that was talking about the thought process that ended up with us ordering the chart plotter, was that when we got all these new instruments for Espion, we figured, okay, well, we get the instruments for the companionway that shows data to the on-deck crew, but we also need we want some displays for the nav station as well. Like you want somewhere to read off the wind speed and stuff down there as well. So we wanted, at least a couple of displays just for the nav station, and then like we have on Espion right now. But then only a couple of those, and then you might just as well just get a chart plotter that can display all of those numbers just as well, and also do all of these other really, really cool things. So there's a couple of other really nerdy things that I just want to mention that also jolted me in this direction, is that these new chart plotters can stream data through, I'm not sure what it's called. Again, it's not Wi-Fi, but they can stream data through some kind of Bluetooth thing to wearables and also to Garmin's action cameras, which is just super exciting. So we can shoot videos on the boat, and the camera receives all the metadata from the boat, with speed, depth, wind, angle, heel, just everything, and you can overlay that on the videos. And also, if I bite the bullet and replace my 12-year-old watch and buy a Garmin watch, it can stream the data to the watch as well. So when I'm in my bunk sleeping and the crew is sailing through something, I can just like half asleep, just check my watch, and instead of the time, or in addition to the time, I can have the depth, I can have the wind speed, I can have the wind angle, I can have everything right there, which gets me excited.
You are calling into question our sort of old school, nerdy, celestial anti-technology as the OGR is setting across the Southern Ocean, which we were supposed to be on. We're talking about how you can get depth and its wind speed on your watch now. What is happening to us?
I know. And this is what makes this, back to the placement and the use of this thing, is that there is two Augusts here fighting this out. It's the old traditional OGR fan, and there's the that kind of tech-loving avant-garde August, and I think it is very, very difficult. Like, how do we? Because it's about we want to use this, because some of this stuff is just so great, and it's going to make sailing safer, and it's going to make it easier to teach and all this stuff. But then we don't want to end up where we're just staring at the screens the whole time. We don't want to lose that connection. So. Yeah, it's tough.
So on to the original topic, where do you put this thing? I think one of the biggest disadvantages of a chart plotter and why I've always been against it, even going back to Eastbjorn, is the installation. Like you have to mount it somewhere. It takes up space. You have to wire it. You have to run all the wires and stuff. Whereas an iPad only needs power and everything can be streamed to it. So like the problem you have on Eastbjorn at the nav station down below is that forward bulkhead. You can't flush mount anything in there because there's nothing behind it. It's just a flat bulkhead. You need basically like a box so that you can hide the back end of it. And if you mount it externally, now it has to stand. It takes up a lot of like physical space. And where we have Eastbjorn, to the right side of the nav station, you have the electrical panel and the radar. Well, the radar takes up all the space where a chart plotter would otherwise go there. And that's exactly how we have it on Falcon. We have this forward bulkhead that you can stick stuff to that doesn't require mounting, the iPads, all that stuff. And then the radar and all the stuff that requires like a back end is mounted on the side. But I think, so that's like a big problem with this is just like the installation hassle. And I think if we start of like where not to mount it, like I think we both agree that unless you're doing like mostly single-handed sailing, having it at the helm, particularly for the type of sailing that we do, which is mostly offshore, is just a distraction. Like you do not need a TV mount, effectively a TV mounted right above the steering wheel, because talk about staying in reality. It's really hard to take your eyes off that TV screen when you're at sea, and especially on these deep ocean passages. There's nothing to see. You don't need it. So you have the data from the instruments outside, but you don't need a chart plotter. Now that changes if you're single handing a lot, because it's nice to have it there. But I think we both agree that we're not even going to consider mounting it at the helm. Do you agree with that?
I agree. Yeah, 100%. It's a huge distraction. It looks terrible, and it kind of you want to, especially with us being in a teaching position, we want to, when people are wondering like where the wind is coming from or where that other boat is, you want like the first. You want people to like look at the sails or look at the waves or look at the other ships before you kind of consult the screen, and that's going to be tough when you have that screen like right in your face.
Well, not to mention you can't. I mean, this is impossible. Well, when you're even when single handing, because if you're single handing or double handing, you're going to be using your autopilot much more. But you can't steer the boat and navigate at the same time. Like you can't focus your attention on both of those things at the same time to do either effectively. So if you're shorthanded, now you're going to run the autopilot. So you don't necessarily have to be standing right behind the wheel to do your chart plotter anyway. So you can do it on an iPad, in your lap or whatever. And then when you're on a crewed boat like us, somebody's driving, somebody's navigating, and you have to have that communication link between the two. But the driver doesn't necessarily, if the driver's getting good comms from the navigator, the driver doesn't need to know what the chart looks like. He just needs to know what course to steer and what to look out for visually. So I feel pretty strongly about that in a crewed environment. And even in a shorthanded environment, you're going to rely on your autopilot, and you really can't do both anyway. So why have it both at the helm?
Yeah, I think I would probably, if I was going to do a lot of single handing, I would probably put one at the helm, or at least in the cockpit.
Well, you're getting in and out of the dock and marinas and stuff when you're not sailing, you're just motoring, then it's really useful. I agree.
Exactly, for those kind of things. But yeah, we usually have lots of crew on board, so that's not really an issue for us. So yeah, no, it's not going at the helm.
Yeah.
And the nav station.
So what are the options? Where are we talking here? Where are the options?
So we're basically, I got at least 4 options.
I gotta say, we should preface this, and well, you can put this in the intro, but like, this is a real conversation you and I are having right now for the first time to make a decision. This is not just like theoretical. This is like, what are we gonna do? Let's talk about this and record it.
That's right. Yeah, no, this is very much, this is not hypothetical at all. This is real. Yeah. So we got, there's 4 options that I put down here. Helm is the one, which is kind of the obvious one, where everybody usually puts it. We're not doing that. Nav station is the other one. It comes with this problem that you are describing that is just huge with that. Just the amount of stuff behind the screen is going to be very difficult to mount there. And then we have the third option, which I like a lot, which I think is my favorite for now. Adam's idea is to put it in the salon. So
In the
put it
salon.
in the salon.
Because that's not
In
when I thought prompted this conversation was Adam's idea to put it in the aft cabin where that bulkhead was. That's what I thought you were going to say.
that's number 4. That was also Adam's
Okay.
idea. He's just
Yeah.
full of ideas. That guy is awesome.
Adam
But
being
yeah,
our bosun.
that's right. Shout out to Adam. So the salon one it's a really neat place to put it in the kind of bulkhead forward of the salon on the starboard side, facing the salon. It's
Where the clock and barometer are
where the
currently.
clock and barometer is located. And that would there we could actually flush mount it, because the behind that is, or I guess forward of that is just a huge closet, so we can easily just build a box behind that.
Yep.
And it would be in a very good position for just like the crew to see, which is because in the salon, right where you are, that's kind of where people will, when they get ready to go on their watch, they put on their fowlies and they have a snack and they're kind of hanging around there for a little bit. And then it would be kind of cool just to have all the data right there. It'll be a little bit of a pre handover brief, because you could see all the data. You can see the graphs of the, you can see, okay, is the wind building, has it been going down, and all that kind of stuff, which would be pretty cool. And you can also see it from the nav station, because it's so huge. It's big. We ordered a 9-inch. Adam and I went to a shop in Southampton where we were there with the OGR, and we bought all this stuff, and then we could get it, and we just put it on the boat and sail it to Sweden. And we got when we got the stuff, we ordered a 9-inch chart plotter. They'd sent us a 12-inch. So we're like unboxing stuff. I'm like, holy shit, that's huge. And then we're gonna go cast the lines off. We're going sailing. So that's what we have. But yeah, no, it's large.
Cool.
But yeah, that's an idea that I like very much.
So this is a silly idea, but I want to say it anyway. We have to get you get an underwater camera and a mast camera, and now you can do like what you do on an airplane, where you could switch that to like the camera screen, and like offshore you could just have the mast cam on there so people laying in their bunk can see what's going on outside. We're not doing that, by the way, but it would be fun.
Yeah, that would be one step too far, I think. But yeah, that would be really cool. So that is something that I think is my number one preferred option now. And then it is the option that you mentioned in the aft cabin. There is a little bulkhead in between the two bunks, the two separate bunks that needs to be on, one on port, one on starboard, and in between we're going to put a new freezer, which is going to be quite nice. And then there is a vertical bulkhead behind the freezer where there's nothing right now, and we could also put the screen. The cool thing about that is that it would be just it wouldn't interfere with anything. Like we wouldn't have to drill a hole in anything nice and valuable it wouldn't have to ruin anything to put it there. Very much out of the way. And we can see it from the skipper could see it from his bunk, basically, his or her bunk. So that was a really good idea that I liked a lot. And with this data streaming capability to the iPads, it's the point of having it at the nav station is, well, we don't really need to, because we can have a super thin iPad just mounted on the at the nav station
as a mirrored display.
Mirror it, so
Yeah.
we don't really need to take up all that valuable real estate right there at the most important part of the boat for it. So in a way, underneath there would basically just be like a computer, and the iPad would be the main kind of external screen for it. So let me ask you a question.
Can you, when you're doing the mirroring, can you also control it from the iPad then?
No.
Okay.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that's not the best place for it. I think if that was possible, I think that would be a much stronger, a stronger contender. But that's the thing. It will be very awkward to get to it and actually control it when it's underneath there.
So I think, I mean, so a couple of thoughts here. If you could put it at the nav station easily, that's probably where we'd put it, right? Like if you could put it on that forward bulkhead at the nav station, if that was possible, that would be the default location, right?
if we could flush mount it and it wasn't, for sure.
So, the reason we're considering these other options is because we can't put it there flush mounted. And if we don't flush mount, it's going to take up too much space on the desktop. So that's not really a feasible option. So, okay. So that's why we're not putting it at the nav, and we can't put it off to the side because the radar is already there.
We can put it at the nav station. We did, Adam and I, we kind of put it up there. We just held it up and put it in place to see what it'll look like. And it is possible. But it is quite huge.
Too big.
It's quite.
So then we're talking about remote mounting it. And I like the salon idea a lot. I like it better as well because more people can see it. Like your skipper is going to be able to, like you said, if you can mirror it anyway. And I know for sure with a Wi-Fi gateway on the NMEA data, you can at the very least stream the numbers to even your phone. Like I do that already on Falcon. You just have a simple NMEA app on your phone. And by the way, that NMEA app is called NMEA Remote. NMEA Remote is the one that you can stream raw data to. Cool. So you can at the very least stream that, and any of your navigation apps you're going to use on an iPad or a phone will be able to get the nav data, the wind, all that important stuff. You're not going to get some of the N2K specialty tank and engine data unless you use the raw app thing. But like that's neither here nor there.
That's just to add to that, that argument of the skipper being able to see the screen while being in their bunk is also exactly kind of not that strong because of the MFD mirroring, can just stream it straight to the skipper's phone, and then you won't need to put the display there.
Exactly. So I like the salon idea. It would be even cooler if there were a way, from a teaching standpoint, if there was a way to have the skipper seated at the nav station but controlling the MFD from that position. That would be the best case scenario from a teaching standpoint, because then you could have all the crew can be seated around the salon table. Everyone can see it. The skipper's not in the way and can control it from there. Maybe that's not an option, but that would be like the coolest way.
Yeah, the Garmin watch can do that.
Well, maybe that's the way.
There we go.
I wonder, because because you're going to be teaching from in port. Like I wonder if you could even if there's a way to connect like even hardwire a laptop to it, run a wire from there back to the nav station, where you could have a laptop or something at the nav station, plug it in, and now you can control the chart plotter from the laptop. I'm
sure there are ways of doing that. 100%. I mean, you could pair these. I mean, they're basically computers, these new MFDs, and I know the Garmin's you connect them to your phone so that you get your email and your texts come up on the chart plotter. It's like you could get them to do a lot of things.
That sounds like a bad idea. Let's not do that.
No, for sure not. But yeah, I mean that's really cool. It would make for a very good kind of if we do like the weather briefings that we do and stuff like that, and it'll be a good spot to show things to the crew.
Let me ask you this another way. Does it work as a reverse display? Can you use the MFD as a mirrored display for an iPad or a laptop? I'm thinking even just to show like a photo slideshow or something.
I would think. I mean, I guess you probably could. I don't know, but I think
that's
another
pro for mounting it in the salon. Is I've thought about getting like one of those little portable projectors and just a pull down screen, where if you've got a lay day or want to give a presentation or something, you can instead of having a TV mount on the wall as a display, you can just do that. But if you could do that on that, that's just another feature then that is not really relevant to navigating at all, but is just another checkbox for the mounted in the salon position, which I think I'm leaning
Yeah.
towards anyway. I mean, I think that sounds super cool.
Yeah, me too. I think you could, I mean, I guess you could probably do that, send photos to that thing. I'm quite sure. I think if I was doing like a photo presentation or something, I imagine that the screen on the iPad is probably a much better screen so
Yeah.
that it would just look better. I guess. Another one that a solution that might be more relevant in cases like that is another one of Adam's brilliant ideas was to put it on a strut. So you can have, because we have this solid pipe stanchion thing that right as you come down the companionway, there's
That's
two.
integrated in that bulkhead we're talking about at the nav station where we can't mount it.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
but you could put one of these struts on there, and you could swing it around and move it so that it could be facing the nav station. So it could be a screen that's handy for the nav station, and you could just like swing it around, and it can be like a little TV thing for the salon.
So I don't like that idea for Eastbourne because it's gonna feel gigantic on there, and it's just gonna be it's gonna be in the way. But that strut idea is, I think, the best solution for smaller boats. That if you want to have it like visible from the helm, but you don't want it at the helm, that you put it on a strut right inside the companionway. So when you swing it in, you can see it from down below, and then you swing it out, and it's basically in the companionway, but you can see it from the helm. You couldn't necessarily reach it and control it from the helm, but a lot of small boat sailors use that because it's protected. It's down below. You can see it down below when you're down below, but then you swing it on a strut, and now you can see it from the cockpit as well. So I like that solution for that, but I don't like it for Eastbourne.
Yeah, I agree with that Baltic 37 I had with my friend Vega. We had that. He's a really great like computer guy. So he built a computer for the boat, which is one of the alternatives that we discussed. And with like I guess like a 16, 18-inch screen that was on
Wow.
the bulkhead with the nav station. Extremely power efficient. It was amazing. And then so it was stuck there, but then it was a little thing you could just loosen it, and it was on a strut, and you could swing the whole thing around into the salon, and we could watch movies on it and all kinds of stuff. Just
Nice.
really cool. So
That's super cool. That's
yeah,
great.
so
I
I
mean,
think
yeah, so now like now you're talking like the other way to do this, which going back to John Harry's, he has set up on his boat is you run like a like a Mac Mini or some sort of actual computer just tied into any display, and then you could just put a TV on the bulkhead on Eastbourne and run whatever you want from there. But now you're getting into it's a lot more complicated to set up and everything, and a lot more installation because it's a bunch of wires. It's stuff that's not necessarily waterproof, marinized, all the rest. And I think that's we've gone down that path and decided not to do that. So, but you can get if you're really nerdy, you can do some very cool stuff with all this because it all pretty much integrates with everything else nowadays.
yeah, and it's fun to see people go nuts with these Raspberry Pi mini computers and all that building
Yeah.
all kinds of automated things. And yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think for the stuff that we do where things just needs to work, I
Not
think
only needs
it's
to work, but it also needs to be intuitive for the various staff we have on board that come and go. Because
yeah.
that's one of the big downsides on Falcon. Like we had an issue on the last trip where I have all this networking stuff set up on the boat, and I'm kind of the only one that knows how it works. So when
Yeah.
something like Eric called me from Horta, he's like, "Hey, I need tech support," and I was able to walk him through it. I was proud of myself for having these redundancies built in because one of the networks failed, so we just reverted to a backup network for streaming the data and said we'll fix the main one in the off season, and it worked. It was great. I did it that way, but like Eric wasn't really able to do that on his own. So I think the other point is keep it simple and intuitive and sort of like standard so that our rotating staff can know how it works.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So I like
Yeah.
that. I mean, if we're gonna come to a conclusion, the salon idea is brilliant. I love that. I would have never thought of that, and I love the idea for all those reasons we talked about. Least of which is like it's out of the way to mount it. It's not gonna you're not losing any space.
Not really. It's going to make that locker just forward of the salon just a little tiny bit smaller, but it's
Well,
not
you'll
really a
presumably
problem.
build a backing box on it to keep it protected.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I guess the only things that are bad about that is like you'll then have to get up to it, and if you're going to change anything on it, you need to actually sit quite awkwardly, like one knee on the settee, and kind of control it that way, which I don't think you will be spending a lot of time doing. I don't think. But there's that. If you want to just play around with it, you're stuck in a very or quite uncomfortable position. Um, and we're also then need to move the barometer, the clock, and the wall mount, the bulkhead mounted compass that's there. We can move those over to the other side, to the port side bulkhead, which will be nice. But there's something in my soul that screams out in pain when we go to dismount the bulkhead compass for a screen. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
you've
there's
got
that.
that. You could even, I mean, you've got two bulkhead compasses. That one back at the nav station. That's kind of just a crappy old. Well, you could ditch that one, move the nice bulkhead one to there. So there's options. But
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think, I mean, obviously, like everything, it's a compromise, and I think the salon thing is the best compromise. That's what I would do that, and I think you're gonna, from a standpoint of like when you need to mess with it, you're gonna do a lot of setup with like you're gonna have maybe 3 or 4 different default screens that you're gonna go to, and then it's just gonna be a matter of cycling between those different screens, which will already be set up. Like maybe you'll probably have an offshore data screen which will have certain, you have your wind, you won't need depth on that screen. For example, if you're far offshore, you'll have your offshore data, then you'll have your inshore data, which might show depth and the forward sonar and some of that stuff. Then you'll have your chart screen when you're looking at that, and then whatever else. But I assume you'll have your sort of default screens that'll take some time to set up and tweak as you get used to using it. And then it's just a matter of flipping between screens then, which is just
yeah,
a button press.
I think so. I think that's probably the best.
Speaking of button presses, is it a full touchscreen or is it a hybrid with
Full
buttons?
touchscreen. Yeah.
See, that I don't like so much either, but that's just what you get nowadays, I guess.
Yeah. There's most of them are that way now,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, I for any kind of outdoor on deck solution, I hate the touchscreen stuff because if you get water on there, it just doesn't work anymore. And but for down below, I think it's quite good. There's
True, that's true. And I guess we say
pretty
that, and yet our primary nav is iPads and they're full touchscreen. But the thing is,
yeah
like, the difference too is an iPad touchscreen works. It just works. They work so good. They figured that out. Whereas some of the other ones are like, back to the airplane thing. It's like sometimes they just don't work,
yeah. It's
wet or dry. But you're good point though. If it's mounted down below, it's never going to get wet, so it
yeah.
won't have those issues.
And they're getting a lot better now. I do remember there was a huge gap in the like the just the smoothness and the refresh rate of these touchscreen displays, like MFDs and chart plotter stuff, and the iPads. But now they're getting pretty good. It's not frustrating to use at all, I find. So
This is slightly off topic, but what charting software does the Garmin use?
I think, well, they have their own charts. I think it's Navionics in the
Navionics
if
based. Okay, yeah. Because one
at
of the things we
at
talked
the
about
bottom.
before is like because we use the primary nav app that I use now on the iPads is the TZ iBoat Time Zero, Time
Mm,
Zero's iPad version, and
yeah,
that's by far the best. They still are missing. Oddly, they're missing like Bermuda, which doesn't make any sense. But most of the
really.
other stuff they have. But one of the nice things we talked about before was Furuno now owns Time Zero, and we use Furuno radar. So we talked about, okay, do you get a Furuno MFD chart plotter because they use the Time Zero charts as their
Mm,
chart software. But then there was some other things where okay, let's use the Garmin. We're going that direction. So I was just curious what Garmin uses for their charting software.
Yeah. No, I think it's all Navionics. So
Yeah.
yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, are we? It's like, are we going to use the chart plotter for charts? Maybe we want to do that, and then it's kind of, then it would be very, then you really need to mess with it quite a bit, and then it's too bad that it's on the on the on the bulkhead there.
That's
It's
why I'd
tough.
wonder. Well, I'd wonder from a planning perspective if you could plug a laptop into it and control and do all your planning at the nav station from a laptop, and then like let's say you're running a coastal route, from Bergen to Tromsø or whatever, you could do
Hmm.
all that stuff on a laptop. Because you're right, then that's going to be, because that takes time, and you're going to be in a very awkward position where, because if you have to put a picture on the quarter deck for this, but like where that bulkhead is, there's a lower shelf underneath it where that set of drawers is. So like if you're
Hmm.
sitting on the settee, you're 3 feet aft of where that bulkhead is. So you can't quite that's a good point. It will be quite awkward if you're doing any sort of chart work on that. So I wonder if there's a
Yeah.
way to either, because usually what you can do, like on the iPads anyway, one of the nice things about the iPads is I can do all the chart work at the nav station, and then I can export the route to all the other iPads. It's not even mirroring it. I can actually export the GPX file, import it into the other iPad running completely separate software, and now I have a duplicate version of what I just spent an hour at the nav station creating,
Yeah.
which is so cool. So I wonder
That
if
is
you could do
really
this.
cool.
I wonder if you could do the same thing. If you could do all your chart work on an iPad or a laptop at the nav station and then simply export it over to the chart plotter. You must be able to do that, because I imagine you're going to do that stuff at home. Then you want to go to
Hmm.
the boat and upload it onto the chart plotter. There's probably a way around that.
I'm pretty sure, because the like the Garmin Active Captain app is kind of the same thing, and that's one of if you go and watch like a YouTube ad of that, that's exactly what happens. It's
Yeah.
the dude sitting at home with his coffee and he's making a plan on his phone or whatever, and then uploads it
Because
to the
that was,
boat,
I
and I
mean,
guess
it's
there.
only recently that you can do that, because that's the other big advantage of an iPad or laptop, is that it's portable. You can go to a
Hmm.
coffee shop, download the charts you need, download the weather you need, sit there comfortably, and then you have it on the boat. Whereas you can't do that with a chart plotter. But now they all connect to the internet as well, so you can basically you can do everything remotely and then just sync it with whatever. I assume so that it's
Yeah.
going to be a learning curve to this for us as well. Is like, how do you actually make the most effective use of it? In addition to like, okay, now it's mounted. Now how do we use it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. There's also the thing that if we put it at the nav station, which is possible, it's just a little bit cramped. We can still put an iPad on that bulkhead,
Well,
um,
same in the aft cabin. You can put an iPad
and
on
in
that aft bulkhead. Yeah.
yeah, and then you could be sitting very comfortably at the nav station, and you could mess around with it, make routes, change up data fields, and it would just like update in real time on the wall right over there, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It would also be, mounting it at the nav station would be less invasive than mounting it, like making a flush mount through the bulkhead, because then you put the whole bracket on there. So you won't
You
have to
mean
like,
not flush mounting it, just bolting it to the tabletop.
yeah,
Yeah.
or up in the, just on the bulkhead, but not flush mounted, but on these brackets on
Oh, I
the
see.
bulkhead. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna stick out like quite a bit, but it's
How deep is it?
uh, I'm not sure. It's
I
probably
doesn't matter.
like at least like 12 centimeters. Was that
Yeah.
for like 5 inches or
Four,
so?
five, yeah, 5, 6 inches. I would say, yeah, I mean, just picturing, it's been a while since I've been on board Eastbjorn, but just picturing what it's like down below. That nav station's already pretty small.
Mm,
And if you have that thing sticking out at you in your face, I just think it's gonna look stupid. But if you go
yeah.
back, like you look at some boat listings from, where stuff hasn't been updated for a while, and like those old, you've seen those really old radar screens that are like 10 inches
Oh
deep,
yeah, yeah.
and they have like, it's just stuff everywhere. It's like the Apollo capsule or something, where there's just no room at all. It's just the seat. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't. I think if you could, yeah, I
And
think if you can control it remotely, I think it's a no-brainer to mount it in the salon. If you can't,
Hmm.
then I think it requires a bit more thought.
Yeah, I'll do a little bit of research and see if there is a remote option, or if there is a way to control it through an app or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit more research to be done there. Like maybe through this active captain stuff, you might be able to control it. That means the crew probably wouldn't be able to do that, but yeah, there's a little more research to be done.
So where do you want to put it? I mean, I like if you put a gun to my head right now, I'd say mount it in the salon and figure it out. But where do you want to put it?
Yeah, I'm also on the salon option. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah, I think that's going to be I think that would be great. I do think so. Um
Cool.
so yeah.
Well, we're pioneering the waters here. We'll do it and see. I mean, the other thing
Hmm.
too, like if it doesn't work, you can always move it later.
That is true. We'll have a 12-inch hole in the nice teak bulkhead then, but I mean can always
Ah,
put
put
that
a
back
TV over
in.
it.
Put a nice photo up there.
Kidding, kidding, kidding.
Yeah, we could put a nice photo up there. I have some really nice photos that you got me for of Eastbound that I want to put up somewhere anyway, so that might be a
There you go.
good position for them. So yeah, just
Cool.
afraid that we won't. If you put it in such an awkward position, we won't. It will be so just tough to mess around with that we won't be able to like discover the full potential of it. Um, so yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, but if we never had it before anyway, like I mean, we've went for how long? Eastbjorn's been sailing for 59 North for 8 years now, and we've never had anything. So this will be better than that. Even if you're not getting the full potential, you're getting more than you get now, which is nothing.
Very true. Very true.
So
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great upgrade no matter what we do. So yeah, there's no wrong answer. I think there's
yeah.
yeah, squeeze the
Well,
most out of this thing.
I'm excited to fiddle around with it because I can easily see if it works out and we really like it, then we'll do this. We'll put the same thing on Falcon.
I think there is a lot of really cool things that we can do with this that would be very exciting also for Falcon. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Cool.
But let's not forget where we came from. I'm gonna put that bulkhead compass up somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And all your paper charts. Is that what I'm seeing above your head? Are those charts hanging up on the ceiling?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
I've lost half of my office now, so I had to consolidate. I had like probably 4 square meters of my office was just had charts in it. So now
Nice.
I've put them up on the ceiling here for you audio only audience, and yeah, it looks pretty good. Great for sound proofing the room as well. So very
Awesome.
nice.
Cool. Well, this is fun. I'm excited to see. I'm hoping you and I get to rendezvous at Vindo sometime before Christmas and check in on the boat and see everything. It's a short drive for me and a longer drive for you.
Yeah, not too bad actually, and yeah, no, I really hope so too. I'm getting constant updates from the yard there, and they're doing really cool stuff to the boat. So she's gonna look great, and yeah,
Cool.
so excited for that.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, I guess we'll come back on a future episode and let everyone know where we actually mounted it and how it worked out.
That's right. Yeah, we'll definitely do an update here. And if you out there in the audience have ever done something like this and are just jumping at the bits to tell us how wrong we are about how some of this works, do get in touch, please, and tell us how we can do this. And yeah,
that's right. Because basically, it's Friday as we're recording this. This is going to come out in like a few days already. This is basically happening in real time. If you listen to this the day or the week it comes out, we will have just talked about this. So there's still time to stop us.
Yeah, yeah. If you're sitting there like, goddamn idiots, it's like super easy. Just use this app and you can control it through this and that. Please let us know. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. Great. All right. Thank you so much, Andy. This is really fun. Very it's good to be back here with you on the Quarterdeck podcast. And yeah, oh, we're looking forward to the next one.
Do we know what the next one's going to be? The topic?
No, we don't. We have talked about maybe doing a orca attack discussion at some.
Oh well,
at
yeah.
some point.
I'm like I said, I'm on the boat in Lagos right now on the south coast of Portugal, and one of the things we're going to brief the crew is what's our orca plan. So
Yeah.
that's that might be a good topic. So maybe and hopefully in a week when I get back, I won't have to call you and say, hey, I was attacked by an orca. Knock on wood.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, that would actually make for a much better podcast. So
It would be a good podcast, but I'm not sure it's worth the. Although I did discover I got verbal confirmation, a written confirmation from our insurance company that were we to be attacked by an orca, it is in fact covered by insurance.
very good, very good. So there you go, two silver linings in case you do get
Yeah.
attacked. So
Yeah,
just keep that in mind.
we can
if
make a
it goes
podcast.
really bad. Yeah, make a great podcast.
Great.
Make sure to get some
Yeah.
video and some footage too. So.
All right, Skipper. Great talking to you, Skipper. This is fun. I'm glad we're back on this, and we'll see everyone. Well, we'll hear from everyone next week.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks to everyone who listened, and I'll see you around for the next one.
Hold fast.
Hold fast. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to join the Quarterdeck, go to quarterdeck.59-north.com. The Quarterdeck podcast is produced by August Sandberg for 59 North. Music is by the Storm Weather Shanty Choir.